सदैव तृप्तैव तृप्तिं भजत सदैव वन्दे गुरश्रीचरणरविन्दम् वन्दे गुरश्रीचरणरविन्दम् वन्दे गुरश्रीचरणरविन्दम् श्रीराधिका माधवयरपार माधुर्यलीला गुणरूपनाम्नाम् श्रीराधिका माधवयरपार माधुर्यलीला गुणरूपनाम्नाम् प्रतीक्षण स्वादन प्रतीक्षण स्वादन वन्दे गुरश्रीचरणरविन्दम् वन्दे गुरश्रीचरणरविन्दम् वन्दे गुरश्रीचरणरविन्दम् संसारदावानलोक प्राणाय कारुण्य घनाघनत्यम् प्राप्त सकलन् गुणान्नवश वन्दे गुरश्रीचरणरविन्दम् निकुञ्जजूनरतिकेली सिद्धैः निकुञ्जजूनारतिकेली सिद्धैः जाजालिभिर्युक्तिरपेक्षणीया निकुञ्जजूनारतिकेली सिद्धैः जाजालिभिर्युक्तिरपेक्षणीया तत्रातिदाक्षादतिवल्लभश्याम् वन्दे गुरश्रीचरणरविन्दम् वन्दे गुरश्रीचरणरविन्दम् वन्दे गुरश्रीचरणरविन्दम् वन्दे गुरश्रीचरणरविन्दम् संसारनामानललिलोक प्राणाय कारुण्य घनाघनतम् तप्तचकलन् गुणान्नवश वन्दे गुरश्रीचरणरविन्दम् वन्दे गुरश्रीचरणरविन्दम् वन्दे गुरश्रीचरणरविन्दम्
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna. Good morning, everyone. If you're in this time zone, if you're in a different time zone, we're in the same eternal time mode of hearing about the transcendental pastimes of Lord Chaitanya and Lord Krishna from the lips of the pure devotee spiritual master, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Whatever great men do, common men will follow. And whatever standards they set by exemplary acts, the whole world pursues. So we're always looking to associate with great people, whether it's in business or in politics or in, or in any kind of field. You want to associate with great people. That was my compulsion when I was a young man, Tom, like you. And I wanted to meet all the famous musicians. And I did. I met a lot of famous musicians. Personally, I met Jimi Hendrix, for example. I saw him at a club in Ann Arbor, Michigan, after he got kicked off the Monkees tour. And I also met all the different great jazz players like Duke Ellington and Count Basie, saw them play, shook their hands like that. So it was my pursuit of what I called excellence in my early years, focused on mundane activities. But the real great person that captivated me was A.C., His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, who is, for all practical purposes, the greatest person in the history of the modern world. No question. And when you look at his history, and you study it like we are, the diaries, and you see how he struggled, all the austerity that he underwent to establish the Krishna consciousness movement, not only in his travels to America, but prior to that, there was also great struggle for him in India. And because people were not very receptive there. What? Not in India? No, they weren't. He came by himself. He got on the boat in Calcutta. His only companion to the boat was one of his sons. Out of his whole family, no one wanted to support him. But he came, despite that, fixed on the orders of his spiritual master, His Divine Grace, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada. So this is a fixation on a great person. And we're very fortunate, especially some of us, to have had somewhat extensive association with Srila Prabhupada. We're not making it up. Some people think, oh, you're bragging. No, we're not bragging. This was a reality somehow or other. By the mercy of the Lord, we went to Mayapur. We were with Prabhupada. We heard him speak 150 times in real time. We got to go on morning walks. I was driving him in his car when he came to Toronto. We bought the biggest temple in North America for him, and he blessed me with his kurta. I have his kurta here in my production studio. He had Hari Sori give it to me. It's a great thing that's still here. Someone offered me $10,000 for it, Yashodanandana. $10,000. And I was desperate. I was lost in the Grihastha ashram trying to pay my bills. I considered, well, thank God I didn't sell it. Oh my God, what a nightmare. But I didn't, thank God, and it's here. So we're very fortunate. Just like, for example, the apostles of Lord Jesus Christ. Look at how they're respected. Oh, Paul, John, blah, blah, blah. These opportunities to associate with a pure devotee are very rare, very rare. And our association, the Prabhupada Disciples Association, is also a great gift to the world. This is not just some other group that's trying to promote Ritvikism or Prabhupada-nugadism or any other kind of ism. No, we're simply focusing. Tom, we're focusing like samadhi is a trance. We are focusing on Srila Prabhupada as the greatest person to walk the face of the earth. And we, all of us here, even the new men and the old people, we're all fixated on this opportunity. Yes, Krishna Katha, this opportunity to study the greatness of the greatest person since Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, no question. Now, if people don't know who Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is, that's their problem, not ours. That's something they should learn. And that's what we try to help people come to that stage of understanding. Yes. And not become confused. Think about it. I'm sorry for going on here. You come in association with a great person, and then you think, I'm a great person because I'm associating with a great person. This is the situation in the ISKCON group, where you had this Bhavananda character, this Kirtananda character, this Harikesh character, this Satsrup character, all these characters who think, oh, I was with Prabhupada, I had his Rupanuga, I had his personal association, therefore I'm great. Oh, okay, you're blessed, there's no question. But real greatness comes when you follow Srila Prabhupada in his transcendental sound vibrations. I wanted to read something quickly to us. I had a chance yesterday, Tom, to read from the Nectar of Devotion. I'm moving forward with it. It's some difficult read at a certain level. And it's talking about ecstatic love. Here, Prabhupada's explaining about how people move to that stage. It's step by step. An example of rising to the stage of ecstatic love by executing the regulated principles of devotional service is given in the life story of Nārada Muni, which is described to Srila Vyāsa in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay. Nārada tells that they're of his previous life and how he developed to the stage of an ecstatic love. He was engaged in the service of great devotees. He was engaged in the service of great devotees and used to hear their talks and songs. Because he had the opportunity to hear these pastimes and songs of Krishna from the mouths of pure devotees, he became very attracted within his heart. Association with pure devotee, personal association, and sharing that association with others. How valuable is that? Mr. Bhagawan? Because he had become so eager to hear these topics, he gradually developed within himself an ecstatic love for Krishna. This is how it happens. This ecstatic love prior to the pure love of Krishna, because in the next verse, Nārada confirms that by the gradual process of hearing from the great sages, he developed the love of Godhead And Vani incarnation is very important, everyone, to always constantly hear. In this connection, Nārada continues to say in the first canto, 5th chapter, 28th verse of the Bhagavatam, first, I passed my days in the association of the great sages during the rainy autumn season. Every morning and evening, I heard them while they were singing and chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, and thus gradually my heart became purified. As soon as I heard them with great attention, the Vani incarnation, understand this, Prabhupada still lives in sound. Do not become bewildered by the garbage that people say that Vapu is more important than Vani. This is complete, absolute absurdity, spiritual ignorance, arrogance. The influence of as soon as I heard them with great attention, the influence of the modes of material ignorance and passion disappeared. And I became firmly fixed in the devotional service to the Lord. This is how you make advancement. These are practical examples of how one can develop to the stage of ecstatic love by association, everybody. Simply by the association of pure devotees. It is essential, therefore, one constantly associate with pure devotees, Prabhupada existing in his Vani incarnation, who are engaged morning and evening in chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. And Prabhupada always chanted. In this way, in this way, one will get the chance to purify his heart and develop this pure ecstatic love of Krishna. It doesn't happen overnight, okay? It's not overnight, instant, take a pill and get better. It is a commitment. Prabhupada used to tell us, Yashodanandana knows that, Tom, you have to commit your whole life to this. When we're gone, myself and Yashoda, you have to carry on because you're a young man, you're in your 20s. For your whole life. Whoa, that's a long time. Oh yeah, well, it's not a long time in perspective of eternal time. So wake up. This statement is also confirmed in the 3rd canto, 25th chapter, 22nd verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, where the Lord says, my dear mother, when a person is actually in association with pure devotees, the sublime potency of my devotional service can be experienced. Just like yesterday, we had a wonderful 2-hour discussion, reading and discussion. The thoughts of my my devotees, they dwell in me, and they derive great satisfaction and bliss discussing about me. When we talk about Prabhupada, when we talk about Krishna, when we talk about this movement, we feel bliss. I feel it, and I hope all of you, and I know you do, feel some bliss that here I've got an oasis in this desert of confusion, especially perpetrated by the ISKCON deep state. Very confusing. My dear person, when a person is actually in association with the pure devotees of the sublime potency of my devotional service can be experienced. In other words, when a pure devotee speaks, his words act upon the hearts of the audience. What is the secret of hearing and chanting? A professional speaker cannot impress transcendental ecstasy within the hearts of the listeners. However, when a realized soul who is engaged in the service of the Lord is speaking, he has the potency to inject spiritual life within the audience. One should therefore seek the association of such pure, unalloyed devotees, and by such association and service, a neophyte devotee will certainly develop attachment, love, and devotion for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Is there any confusion here? Is there? People look at us, they go, well, how come you're repeating this? I didn't repeat it. I just read it from Srila Prabhupada. This is a transmission of pure devotional service from the pure devotee to all of the listeners who are on this Zoom call. This is not mental concoction, please. And that's it. Sorry. I've had so much to say today, and I was thinking about the greatness of Srila Prabhupada and the blessing that all of us have and the confusion that there is about Vani and Vapu. And this is unfortunate. We'll go quickly, we'll read a few passages from Prabhupada's glorious diary. And you should study all of these things very carefully. We're reading for everybody in our group these pastimes from Srila Prabhupada in his own handwriting, but study them. Understand the austerity. Understand the effort that he made to create this movement, and why we're so adamant about focusing on Srila Prabhupada's words and his activities and not following these bogus gurus that are now present in ISKCON. Let them come forward and deal with us. I beg you guys, come forward and deal with us. Come on, you cowards. Wednesday, June 15th, sunrise 4:30, sunset 7:30, moonrise 2:30, Dwardasi. Carl paid $1 for expenditures. He paid Carl. Oh no, Carl did. Sorry, that's Paul was absent the whole day and night. In the evening, there was a meeting. Paul was off on an acid trip. There was about 12 heads, but the contribution was $550 only. The other day, $100 contribution is understood to be made by Carl. It is to be paid by Mr. Goldsmith for registration expenses. Thursday, June 16th, 1966. Sunrise, 4:30, sunset, 7:31, moonrise, 2:42. Triododasi, today Carl was paid 75 cents for expenditures and $100 withdrawn from the bank for incorporation charges to be paid Mr. Goldsmith. Purchase of typewriter ribbon, 85 cents, fountain pen cartridges, 45 cents, and $1.30. I just mentioned it to Darren, my roommate here. Prabhupada tracked every penny of the Lakshmi that he was getting. Every penny. Look at this. And he built $1 billion movement, and he's specifying 45 cents for fountain pen cartridges. 45 cents. Total expenditure, 75 and $1.30, 205. And on Friday, June 17th, 1966, it was sunrise at 4:31 a.m., sunset at 7:31 p.m., moonrise 4 a.m., Chaturdasi. Paul was paid today $1 for expenditures. In the evening, Mr. Smith, press representative, a friend of Carl, came to see me. He took note of my activities, took one set of books. His girlfriend gave me the following address: Dr. Kirk Lydecker, College Street, Virginia. He's a professor of philosophy at Mary Washington College of Virginia, specializing in Oriental philosophy. Mr. Goldsmith, hang the notice on the door to be reminded for 15 days in terms of the law. It is expected that the incorporation will take place sometimes after the 6th of July, 1966. Things are really, Krishna is directing Prabhupada. This mission that he is on is unfolding, everybody. In the evening, there was a meeting. The collection was only $7. The book collection was $16. It was $23. The expenditure was $1. And thus, Prabhupada is carrying on with his triumphant mission to please his spiritual master, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj. And that's our goal, period. And somehow or other, we'll keep going in our fallen state and try to serve our spiritual master without personal motivation. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and the Sankirtan movement of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Let's move forward with the chanting of Jaya Radha Madhava and in the wonderful reading and discussion headed up by His Grace Yashodanandana Prabhu with the sore back in California. Haribol.
Sai. Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Jananandana Yashodanandana Braja Jananandana Jayam Swasaram Shukribrajagacharya Chittara Sadasaman Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavindra ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki Jai. Prem se Gaur Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivas Adi Gaur Bhaktavindra ki Jai. Sri Radha Krishna Gaur Gopinath Sam Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham ki Jai. Navadvip Dham ki Jai. Swami to Bhaktavindra ki Jai. Ganga Mai ki Jai. Jamuna Mai ki Jai. Tulasi Devi ki Jai. Bhakti Devi ki Jai. Swami to Bhaktavindra ki Jai. All glories to the assembled Lord. All glories to the assembled Lord. Thank you very much.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. O my Lord, Sri Krishna, the son of Vasudeva, the all-pervading personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. From Srimad Bhagavatam 1:1:1. Narayanam namaskrityam. Narayanam namaskrityam. Naram chaiva narottamam. Naram chaiva narottamam. Devim Saraswatim Vyāsam. Devim Saraswatim Vyāsam Tato Jayam Mudirayat. Tato Jayam Mudirayat. One should utter the means of conquest, Srimad Bhagavatam, after offering respectful obeisances, 1, to the personality of Godhead Narayana, 2, to the Narayana Rishi, who is the supermost human being, 3, to the Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, then 4, to Srila Vyāsa Dev, the author, from Srimad Bhagavatam 1-4. Welcome everyone to this reading and discussion, sometimes called a class, on the Srimad Bhagavatam. We are reading from the 1962 original version of Srimad Bhagavatam. And as we do every week, we will read a few selected verses from the first canto, second chapter, where Srila Prabhupada explains the meaning of the Srimad Bhagavatam and the benefit of hearing this powerful transcendental literature. Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 2, Ram Raghava. Okay, here we go. Text number 15. Yadanudyasina yukta karmagrantini bardanam kovin chindanti kovidastasya konakuryat kataratim. Intelligent persons do cut off internet of the knot of reactionary work by remembrance of the personality of Godhead. Therefore, who will not give attention to his message? Shushrushuhu sadadanasya vasudeva kataruchihi tyanmahat sevaya vipraha punyatirtha nishevanat. O the twice-born sages, by serving those devotees who are completely freed from all ranges of vice, a standard of great service is done. And as the result of such great service, affinity in the messages of Vasudeva is made possible. Srinvatam svakataha Krishnaha punyasravana kirtanaha hridyantastoya badrani vidunoti surita satam. Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is also the Paramatma in everyone's heart and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, thus cleanse the desire for material enjoyment in the heart of the devotee who has developed the urge for hearing his Krishna's messages, which are themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. Nashtaprayeshu babadrishu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naistiki. By regular attendance in the Bhagavatam class or rendering service unto the pure devotees, all that is inauspicious in the heart of a candidate becomes destroyed almost to nil, and thus loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, comes into being an irrevocable fact. Tadarajastamo bhava kamalo bhadayaschaye chetayetera viddam stitam sattve prasidati. As soon as irrevocable loving service is fixed up in one's heart, at that time the effects of the nature's mode of passion and ignorance, such as lust, desire, and hankerings, etc., do disappear from one's heart, and he becomes fixed up in a mode of goodness, which makes him completely happy. Evam parapasanna manasu bhagavad bhakti yogataha bhagavad vijnanam mukta sangasya jayate. Thus, when one is positively fixed up in the mode of unalloyed goodness, the enlivened-minded man affected by contact of devotional service of the Lord can positively know scientific knowledge of the personality of Godhead in the stage of liberation from all material association. Vidyate hridaye grantis chidyante sarva samshaya chiyante chasya karmani drishtaye vatmanishwari. The knot of one's heart is thus pierced, and all misgivings are cut into pieces. The chain of fruitive actions are terminated along with the seeing of oneself, the dominating factor. We will proceed with our reading. Today we will be reading from Canto 1, Chapter 6, text number 5 and 6. 5. All English synonyms, translations, and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Pondaracharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, also known as the Krishna Consciousness Movement. Nārada uvacha bhikshubhir vipravasite vijnana drishtivir mama vartamano vasyavadye tato etad akarosham. Sri Nārada uvacha. Sri Nārada said, Bhikshubhir, by the great sages, vipravasite, having departed for other places, vijnana, scientific spiritual knowledge, adrishtibir, those who imparted upon me, mama, mine, vartamano, present, vayasadye, before this duration of life, tato, thereafter, etad, this much, akarosham, performed. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Sri Naraji said, the great sages who had imparted upon me scientific knowledge and transcendence, having departed from me for other places, I had to pass on my life like this. Purport by His Divine Grace. In his previous life, when Nāradaji was impregnated with spiritual knowledge by the grace of the great sages, there was a tangible charge in his life, although he was only a boy of 5 years only. That is an important symptom visible after initiation from the bona fide spiritual master. Actual association of devotee brings about quick change in life for spiritual realization, and how it so acted upon the previous life of Sri Nārada Muni is described by and by in this chapter. Text number 6. Ikatmyami janani yoshit mudacha kinkari mayatmajayaman ananya gato chakri snehanubandhanam ekatmaya. Having only one son, mine, janani, mother, yoshit, women by class, mudha, foolish, cha, and kinkari, maidservant, mayi, unto me, atmaje, being her offspring, ananyagato, one who has no alternative protection, chakre, did it, snehanubandhanam, tied up by affectionate bondage. Translation by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. I was the only son of my mother who not only belonged to the simple women class, but also she was only a maid servant. And I, being her only offspring, having no other alternative protection, she bound me with tie of affectionate bondage. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuran Militam Yena Tasme Shigurave Namaha Namaom Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatyadeshatarine Bhakti Siddhanta Shishyaya Bhakti Vedanta Namine Prasannaya Prashantaya Tasme Shri Gurave Namaha Bhagavad Vandanam Kadyam Guru Vandana Purvakam Shiram Sharkara Yuktam Kadati Visheshataham Adadanastrinam Danteridam Yache Punaha Punaham Srimad Rupa Padam Bhoja Julisyam Janma Janmani Amsho Bhagavatosmyaham Sadadaso Asmi Sarvata Tatkripa Pikshako Nityam Tat Preshta Sadkaromi Swam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrindam Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So this section of Srimad Bhagavatam continues with the importance of the association of the great sages who instructed Nārada Muni. Nārada Muni is explaining to Srila Vyāsa Deva, his disciple, how he became spiritually realized, how he became liberated from this material world. Now, the question comes, a great personality like Nārada Muni, he was described in his previous life when Nārada Ji was impregnated with spiritual knowledge. By the grace of the great sages, there was a tangible change in his life, although he was only a boy of 5 years only. Just recently, somebody sent me a YouTube video with a young boy, a young Vaishnava. He couldn't have been any more than 4 or 5 years old, and he appeared very blissful, very, very happy, chanting Hare Krishna, playing on some kind of little drum. So how did that person get the chance to be so happy at 5 years old. That person didn't study Vedanta or had undergone a whole study of Bhagavatam or Shastra, but some way or other, he was transcendently connected with the Mahamantra. So here we see Prabhupada is explained by the grace of the great sages. And Prabhupada explains that is an important symptom visible after initiation from the bona fide spiritual master. Prabhupada continues, actual association of devotee brings about quick change in life for spiritual realization. And how it so acted upon the previous life of Sri Nārada Muni is described by and by in this chapter. Now, this is very important because Nārada Muni is considered a very powerful transcendental personality who travels all over the universe. He has the mystic power of being able to go from one planet to another. He is always playing upon his veena or his tambura, singing the glories of Lord Narayana, Lord Vishnu, constantly. But it's described that as soon as he was initiated, that he received the transcendental instruction. He was enlightened. This is very important. Very, very important point. And Prabhupada used the word vijnana, scientific spiritual knowledge. Now, some people have leveled some concern and criticism towards us, saying that you people just keep criticizing other devotees. And our reply is like, well, first of all, we're not fault-finding, we're fact-finding. We're analyzing and discussing events, ideologies, and activities of certain individuals who claim that they represent His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Now, if somebody wants to represent Srila Prabhupada, they have to represent Srila Prabhupada as he wants to be represented, as he requested to be represented, not by misinformation, by misinterpretation, and by concoction. We've often discussed as part of these discussions that people cannot manufacture their own way of presenting the teachings of Srila Prabhupada. Just because somebody was physically with Prabhupada is no guarantee of spiritual advancement or spiritual realization. One may experience some sentiment, one may experience some emotion, but one has to be able to be enlightened by the knowledge given by the Acharya. And this will be reflected in what they say. It's not just, I was with Prabhupada, and somebody will say, I received so many letters, or I was a big devotee in his organization, or I got so many morning walks with Prabhupada, and I got to be in his room. I was there, and I understand better than you rank and file devotees or newcomers. No, that is not the criteria. The criteria is to understand the proper siddhanta, the proper knowledge given by Prabhupada. And how do we know they have not understood? When they publicly filed in Washington, D.C., USA, in the United States Copyright Office, that Prabhupada was just a worker for hire. This is their level of understanding of Srila Prabhupada. Compliments of the deep state. Compliment of the swamp, the political swamp, the cartel that controls the GBC Society of West Bengal. This is their level of understanding of the pure devotee, the Mahabhagavata, the Shakti Vaishavatar, the pure devotee who came from Vaikuntha. Just in the beginning of this program, I sent an email out where Prabhupada was describing very nicely. Let me see if I can pull it up and read it, because I think it's a very important point. This is regards to the position of a pure devotee. How does a pure devotee, how are we supposed to understand the position of a pure devotee? Let me see if it comes up. Just give me a second. No, I can't seem to be able to pull it up. Anyway, it is described in the second canto of Srimad Bhagavatam that a pure devotee of Krishna is always transcendental to the material energy. And Prabhupada was describing this is from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 9, text number 35. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 9, text number 35. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains, therefore, although he is present in every atom, the Supreme Personality of Godhead may not be visible to the dry speculators. Still, the mystery is unfolded before the eyes of the pure devotees, because their eyes are anointed with love of Godhead. And this love of Godhead can be attained only by the practice of transcendental loving service of the Lord and nothing else. The vision of the devotees is not ordinary. It is purified by the process of devotional service. In other words, as the universal elements are both within and without, similarly, the Lord's name, form, quality, pastimes, entourage, etc., as they are described in the revealed scriptures or as performed in the Vaikuntha lokas, far, far beyond the material cosmic manifestation, are factually being televised in the heart of the devotee. The man with a poor fund of knowledge cannot understand, although by material science, one can see things far away by means of television. And here it is. Factually, the spiritually developed person is able to have the television of the kingdom of God always reflected within his heart. That is the mystery of knowledge of the personality of Godhead. And that is the position of an exalted personality, like His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. He is always in touch with Krishna 24 hours a day. This is very important. I've often told the story how one sannyasi in Calcutta asked Srila Prabhupada, the spiritual master, when he closes his eyes, what does he see? And Prabhupada said, that question you do not need to ask. Prabhupada chastised him. So the devotee went further. He says, Prabhupada, the pure devotee, when he closes his eyes, what does he see? And Prabhupada said, yes, that is a very good question. The pure devotee, when he closes his eyes, he sees the pastimes of Radha and Krishna reflected in his heart 24 hours a day. That is the difference between a Nitya Siddha, Satyavishar avatar like Srila Prabhupada, and a neophyte who has not even begun to understand what is a pure devotee. That's why they labeled them as a worker for hire. Do not be misled by the members of the deep swam and the deep state of ISKCON. They will not be able to understand what we're talking about here. They're too absorbed in counting their money. Why? Here we go. Let's go to another purport from Srila Prabhupada. And this is a very deep explanation from Srila Prabhupada himself in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, chapter 19, text 160. Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, chapter 19, that 160. And now pay attention here, because this is a very important point. Those of you who are a little familiar with Prabhupada teachings, I know in this group many of you are familiar, if not all of you, Prabhupada is explaining a very important point. This is Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's instruction to Rupa Goswami. Prabhupada explains, if one does not distinguish between the Bhakti Lata creeper, thank you, Rupesh. If one does not distinguish between the Bhakti Lata creeper and the other creepers, the sprinkling of water is misused, because the other creepers are nourished while the Bhakti Lata creeper is curtailed. Prabhupada is translating here the instruction of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to Rupa Goswami about the development of bhakti, the Bhakti Lata bij, or the seed of devotional service, purported by His Divine Grace. If one chants the Hare Krishna mantra while committing offenses, these unwanted creepers will grow. One should not take advantage of chanting the Hare Krishna mantra for some material benefit. As mentioned in verse 159, Nisiddhachara kutinati jivahimsan, labha puja pratishtadi yata upashakagan. The unwanted creepers have been described by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakura. He states that if one hears and chants without trying to give up offenses, one becomes materially attached to sense gratification. One may also desire freedom from material bondage like the Mayavadis, or one may become attached to yoga siddhis and desire wonderful yogic powers. If one is attached to wonderful material activities, one is called siddhi lobi, greedy for material perfection. One may also be victimized by diplomatic or crooked behavior, or one may associate with women for illicit sex. Others may make a show of devotional service like the Prakrita Sahajias, and listen to this one, or one may try to support this philosophy by joining some caste or identifying himself with a certain dynasty, claiming a monopoly on spiritual advancement. Thus, with the support of family tradition, one may become the pseudo-guru or so-called spiritual master. Does that ring a bell for those who have invented this election process, this voting process of guruship, who claim that they are the only ones, that only by their voting one can become a spiritual master? Prabhupada is very heavy here. One may become attached to the four sinful activities, illicit sex, intoxication, gambling, and meat eating. Or one may consider a Vaishnava to belong to a mundane caste or creed. One may think, this is a Hindu Vaishnava, and this is a European Vaishnava. A European Vaishnava is not allowed to enter the temple, just like some caste Brahmins in Jagannath Puri, just like some caste Brahmins in ISKCON. Now we have caste Brahmins in ISKCON with their monopoly idea, their voting election idea, a complete fabrication and concoction. One may also try to carry out a professional business while chanting the Hare Krishna mantra or reading Srimad Bhagavatam. Or one may try to increase his monetary strength by illegal means. In other words, what we're suggesting here, not that we are suggesting, but Prabhupada is giving instruction to all of his followers, all of his students, of what to avoid. It's very clear here. And that tendency towards monopoly and spiritual advancement is very strong. It is not just limited to India. The deep state of ISKCON and the swamp of the GBC is heavily involved with this, heavily involved. When Prabhupada talking here about illicit sex with women, nowadays the problem is some people want illicit sex with underage boys and underage girls. That is even a more dangerous criminal problem. To whom it may concern. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Bro. Glories to Srila Prabhupada, and the message of truth from the members of the Prabhupada Disciples Association who are representing this philosophy directly online for everyone to read, because a lot of people do not study critically the books. And this will not enable them to properly make advancement in spiritual life. You have to have knowledge. We're not interested in fanatical followers who don't know why they are here, but they think they should be, and they're misled by other people because it requires expertise to understand this. Just like we've talked about a surgeon. If you get someone to go to the hospital, if you're sick, if you've got cancer, say. You don't want a third-class surgeon to operate on you, do you, Mother Uchisha? No. A third-class surgeon may kill you. This is serious. When you want to have a treatment, you have to go for a serious disease. You have to go to an expert doctor. And you have to listen to him, not just look at him and pretend that you're going to do what he says, and you go home, you don't do it. That's also stupid. Super stupid. You go to the doctor and you listen. So in the same way, spiritual life, we are in a diseased condition, very diseased. And if anybody is studying their mind, your own mind, you can see how bewildered you can become by material contamination, material desires, material ambitions. It's a diseased state. You're not liberated from material life. You're entangled. So you go to the doctor for advice. And the spiritual doctor is the pure devotee, Srila Prabhupada. And he's giving specific instructions over and over and over again. And we're repeating them, that's all. Not that's all, but it's better than misinformation, misleading information given to others for personal motivation. Because the doctor, these so-called doctors, are not qualified. Now, someone could say, well, how can you say that? We aren't. This information that Yashoda read just now is specific on how to practice Krishna consciousness, if you can remember what it was said. There is a specific formula for this. It's not you concoct it. It's a science. This is the science of the highest level of self-realization, how to get out of the material world. Is that a joke? To be able to transcend the material world and become situated in the highest platform of yoga? You know, I wanted to study yoga. We started studying yoga, Paramahansa Yogananda, back in the 60s, my friends. Oh yeah, and my friend Udamasloka at the time, he was doing all these exercises and stretches in the moon and the morning salutation and this and that, and we gradually became interested in spiritual life, and eventually we got a Bhagavad Gita. We had a large group of people, Yashoda, that used to associate with us because we were a famous rock band back then. It was, there wasn't so many people like that, and we had a house here in Hamilton. We used to practice there, and everybody would come over, and it was like a center, and they would of information and music, etc. And one of the young men was 14 years old. He stole the Bhagavad Gita, a blue Bhagavad Gita, from the McMaster Library. That's how we got it. And then Uddhama started to study the Gita, and he made all these charts and information, and he was trying to preach to me, it's this way in the three modes of nature and reincarnation and transmigration of the soul and blah, blah, blah. I was like, oh, please, man. I had long hair like Tom. I was thinking, geez, I want to be a rock star. I don't want to shave my head. It was like a nightmare. I thought, geez, I love my hair. But, somehow or other, we got out of that. And somehow or other, and I feel like this too, very much so, that I didn't join the Krishna movement. I was dragged into it, pulled in by my long hair, reluctant to even consider to get rid of my 1957 blonde neck precision, which is now worth $25,000, by the way. I gave the base to the president back then because they couldn't pay the rent. And he sold the base and took the money to pay the rent partially, and then there was another part of that. I'm not going to tell about it right now. So this is a science, exact science of Krishna consciousness. And you don't go to a third-class person. I'm having a discussion right now with Bhagavan, because he's a promoter of the Vapu philosophy. Oh, you need a living person to teach you. Yeah, and the person doesn't know what he's saying. He's confused. He doesn't chant his rounds. He doesn't follow the regulated principles. He doesn't study the books. He doesn't perform any devotional service, but he's an authority because he met Prabhupada in the past. Oh yeah, okay. Just like Kirtananda was an authority. It was a farce, a hoax, a fun. You go to a third-class man cannot help you. Bhagavan was mentioning about how the scriptures have some sort of validity. And I made a comment. Well, how can it be valid if you change the verse from he has seen the truth to they have seen the truth? 434 of the Bhagavad Gita. He asked me, well, what verse is that? Like, you don't know the verse? And then someone perked up. Well, in Sanskrit, he and they can also mean the same word. Oh, okay. Then why did Prabhupada use the word he has seen the truth and not they have seen the truth? Why? Because they changed it. And this is the point. Prabhupada said, what is the authority of Bhagavad Gita when a third-class man changes the words? Is that a first-class physician? Is that a person that's going to cure you of material disease, just like a third-class doctor is going to cure you of cancer? No, he's going to kill you, not cure you. Kill you. This is serious matter. And, I'm sorry I get so intense with this. I hear Yashoda speak and all this information comes pouring out to us and it's so enlivening. And I'm thinking, we've got to be more convinced. We've got to be more cooperative. We've got to work together. We've got to plan and scheme how we can save the disciplic succession from third-class doctors. It's real. This is a real mission. A lot of people don't understand that. Okay, obviously. Look at Krishna Katha, just see how many people reel in and reel out of these classes. We study it. Obviously, I study it at every class. Who's here, who isn't here, who's staying for the whole class, who's taking off at an arbitrary time. I watch everything. Of course I do. Why? Because we're dedicated to this position of propagating the truth about Vani, incarnation of Srila Prabhupada. It's not a small thing. It's a very important part of your remedy for your own material situation, your own material calamity, my own material calamity, my own confusion. It's applicable to each one of us all the time. It's not something you can just do when you feel. Like, for example, the initiations. In the future, anybody that wants to get initiation, and Bhakta Tom, you saw yesterday I read the rules. Well, the most important thing is you have to come to the classes. You don't come to the classes, you don't hear the philosophy, you don't study the books, you don't get inspired with this association, but you think, oh, I want to be a Prabhupada disciple. Okay. Well, you've got some idea. I accept that. There's no question. And it's good. Carry on. But initiation, no. Follower, yes. And we want everybody to stay on the boat. We don't want you to drop out. But you don't have to get initiated unless you really are serious about this. We want quality, serious people to be a part of this, to help us publish the books when we can, to expand the number of members to this group on a weekly basis. Tell other people, have them subscribe. What is this? We only have 22 people at the class. I'm not condemning us, we're here. But obviously, we're not propagating this message of truth effectively to our networks. So we have to work at this and somehow or other expand the truth for the benefit of human society. Yashodanandana Prabhu, if you could further elaborate.
Very important issues are discussed in this program. And no amount of political or cheap shot and nonsensical avoidance will stop the truth from coming out. There's been a lot of discussions all over the internet amongst devotees. Devotees were upset that Prabhupada's books were being changed, that children were molested and abused, that devotees were abused, banning, beating, devotees getting kicked out. So devotees have to, those who claim to be following Srila Prabhupada, or to be disciples or followers or students of Srila Prabhupada, have to take a stand. People cannot rationalize the nonsense that has gone on and say, well, I was there and I understand Prabhupada's real intentions and real teachings, and how all this deviation and nonsense came in. Sometimes people will say, oh, problems were there even during Prabhupada's presence, during his manifested presence, but not on this level. Just recently, 4 lawyers were appointed to the Child Protection Office, and a very reputable devotee with considerable experience was kicked out. He was forced to resign so they could assign some lawyers to manage, to cover up for the deep state managers. What kind of nonsense is this? There's a very interesting purport in the Chaitanya Charitamrita in the Adi Lila, chapter 7, text 31 and 32. Adi Lila, chapter 7, text 31 and 32. And this is a very good explanation why Srila Prabhupada is still the Acharya who is initiating and injecting transcendental knowledge to millions of people. An Acharya who comes for the service of the Lord cannot be expected to conform to a stereotype, for he must find the ways and means by which Krishna consciousness may be spread. Sometimes jealous persons criticize the Krishna consciousness movement because it engages equally both boys and girls in distributing love of Godhead. Thank you. Thank you. Not knowing that boys and girls in countries like Europe and America mix very freely, these fools and rascals criticize the boys and girls in Krishna consciousness for intermingling. But these rascals should consider that one cannot suddenly change a community's social customs. However, since both the boys and girls are being trained to become preachers, those girls are not ordinary girls, but are as good as their brothers who are preaching Krishna consciousness. Therefore, to engage both boys and girls in fully transcendental activities is a policy intended to spread the Krishna consciousness movement. These jealous fools who criticize the intermingling of boys and girls will simply have to be satisfied with their own foolishness, because they cannot think of how to spread Krishna consciousness by adopting ways and means that are favorable for this purpose. Their stereotype methods will never help spread Krishna consciousness. Therefore, what we are doing is perfect by the grace of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, for it is he who proposed to invent a way to capture those who strayed from Krishna consciousness. Now, what's important about this, and we've discussed this before, Prabhupada adopted many things which were not completely standard practice in his preaching of Krishna consciousness. Recently, I saw a picture of Prabhupada walking in Golden Gate Park in 1968 or 67 with Yamuna Devi Dasi. Now, as we know, sannyasis don't take walk with women. That is forbidden in Shastra. But Prabhupada is not just an ordinary devotee. He's not just an ordinary sannyasi. He was a super empowered devotee who was sent by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to bring the Krishna consciousness movement. In 1969 in Los Angeles, Prabhupada was in his room, and one woman came to see him. She was a very attractive Playboy type bunny, and she wanted a private meeting with Prabhupada. And Prabhupada says, no, you can talk here. And she asked Prabhupada, can I do something for you personally? Personal service. And Prabhupada said, well, you can chant Hare Krishna and take prasadam. And she says, no. I meant something personally just for you. Obviously, whatever she had in her mind was not what Prabhupada had in his mind. Prabhupada was completely transcendental, not affected by the modes of nature, not affected by the whims of the material energy. Let us always remember this. Hare Krishna.
Very, very enlightening. And I thought this section here, Prabhu, was very revealing as well, where Prabhupada refers to somebody as jealous fools. Who's he referring to? Who is he referring to? Guess. His godbrothers in the Gaudiya Math. That's exactly who he's referring to. And he also says this: the stereotype methods will never help spread Krishna consciousness. Who are people that are perpetrating stereotype methods? Well, the so-called leaders of the Gaudiya Math that he left and came to America to spread Krishna consciousness without their help or assistance. This Gaudiya Math, part 1, and the ISKCON movement is Gaudiya Math, part 2. These are all warning signs for us, because there are people with opinion, so many different opinions, but they're not verifiable. They should be backed up by Shastra. Just like Yashodanandana was just reading this. Who's speaking? Prabhupada is speaking. He's calling jealous fools. He's telling people, you're stereotyped, you're backward, you don't know what you're doing. That's his godbrothers. Yet our godbrothers, some of them, like this Bhagavat fellow, 420 pounds of him, is running around representing the Gaudiya Math now, and he was initiated by Srila Prabhupada. I remember associating with him, Yashoda, in Vrindavan back in 1975. We were friendly. I tried to talk to him about this. He canceled me online. Oh, the letter that was sent to you from Srila Prabhupada, do not associate with my godbrothers. Prabhupada sent me a personal letter. He said, that's just for you. Okay. You're a nutcase. You're nutty. You try to read something and you misinterpret it, you give a different opinion, and you want me to associate with you? Goodbye. Don't come back. I don't want to see you. I don't want to know you. Let you be judged by your spiritual master, our spiritual master, and Krishna. It's not my position, and I don't want to deal with you. We have to know, everybody, how to qualify people. Don't be stupid. Don't be sentimental. Look, for some time when I fell down out of my real estate world of success, I had to get a job. I was working for BMW selling expensive cars. I said sold millions of cars. But the first thing that you do when you get people in the showroom, there's people called tire kickers. They come and they kick the tire. Oh, yeah, I'd like to buy this BMW. Well, you like to buy a BMW, you better have a lot of cake in the bank, my friend. You got to have money. I don't think you can just buy a BMW. So what you do is you have to qualify the person. You have to ask them these probing questions. And then you finally discover, it's called hot buttons. You discover who they are and if they're real buyers or they're tire kickers or dreamers or whatever. But you have to qualify. So in the same way, we have to be able to qualify people that claim to be spiritual leaders and they're not. Here's the point. You can judge a man by how he speaks. Yes, it reveals the mind. When people speak nonsense, we have to know what is the difference. Be someone who is Prabhupada conscious, who is focused on Prabhupada, and those that are focused about their own personal ambitions. For example, I have godbrothers that have millions of dollars. They're sannyasis, they're renunciants, and they keep private bank accounts with millions of dollars in them. This Romapod, so-called sannyasi, there are many reports of it. I have a devotee in Chicago who's given me the information. This guy has like $10 million in the bank. Come on. This is a farce. It's a complete farce. Why are we bringing it up? Because we don't want to go to a doctor that's third class that's going to kill you. We want to go to a doctor that's first class that can save you from your cancer. This is a cancer, everyone. And it has to be cut out. And we are doing it. Now, a lot of people won't come. Okay, they don't come to the class. They're looking. I send, by the way, everybody, at the class, before the class goes on, you'll see me, I finish up my opening and then I have my phone here and I share the talk online right away so other people will come to it. And then I share it to Romeshwar, Bashu Ghosh, Bhagawan. I send it to their private messenger. Hey, guess what, guys? What? We've got another class today. Every day, every week, every year. Are you going to listen? No. They're not going to listen. They're not interested. They're not serious. They're claiming to be disciple, but they're not serious. I'm going to just take one more second. I thought this quote that Bhakta Rupesh, who's getting initiated on Monday, tomorrow, so we're very proud of him, and he's become one of our stars. Srila Prabhupada speaks out, we have to follow our instructions of the spiritual master. That is initiation. Initiation means you surrender to the spiritual master. This is the first qualification. Hari Sori, just try. Now, interesting, everyone, and Bhagawan's, these people are saying it's they. Here, Hari Sori is quoting from the Bhagavad Gita. Just see the quote. Just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master, inquire from him submissively, and render service unto him. The self-realized soul can impart knowledge unto you because he has seen the truth. Not they. Oh, don't you know, Vishva, that there's different meanings for the word, the Sanskrit word? It also means they. Yes, but why did Prabhupada say he? No answer yet. Srila Prabhupada, you have to submit. You cannot remain independent. That is the first condition. Shishas, teham, shisha. Shishya means voluntarily accepting the rules offered by the spiritual master. That is Shishya. Ah, yes, I agree to abide by your order. Then he becomes Shishya. Otherwise, where is the question? I am thinking like this, I am thinking. So you are thinking otherwise. You don't try to become a Shishya. You remain outside and you are welcome to chant. All right. Sorry, I've sort of lost it here. Remain as a friend. There is no harm. That's what we say. Please carry on, keep coming. And maybe you'll become inspired from within to become a disciple. Just like so many people, they come. So keep these things. 1,020 checks, not 1,000. This way, what is the wrong thing there? Hari sorry. So that point of initiation means that you're prepared to do something more than simply chant and eat prasadam. Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. Initiation means you surrender to the spiritual master. That is the first qualification. And if there is still hesitation to surrender to the rules and regulations and honor such spiritual master, they should not become what? Initiated. And that's a room conversation with Srila Prabhupada in Honolulu. So there, his words are speaking on how to become. I always say that. It's up to the person, it's not up to us. You show us, take a leadership role, step up, do more than we are humbly trying to do, and take a leadership role. Run with the ball. Here it is. Go ahead. Score the touchdown. Go back home, back to Godhead. Yashodanandana Prabhu, if you could further explain.
Well, there's not much more to be explained than statements directly from Srila Prabhupada. And this is the difference between people who claim that just because they had mere physical proximity or physical association with Srila Prabhupada, that this entitles them to a special position, to a special understanding. Yeah, we respect every Vaishnava, and it's very good. They're good fortune, they're exceptional good fortune that people have had the association of Srila Prabhupada. We don't deny that. We don't decry or deny that. But one should not just rely on the fact that he had physical association with Prabhupada, and then they'd stop following. I've seen so many people, no rounds, no neck beads, no tilak, wearing hair like a hippie or a beatnik, and then claiming that these people, oh, I've been initiated, I had so much association with Prabhupada. And when you start asking them questions, the answers don't fit. The answers don't fit. And a lot of times they say, oh, I no longer want to talk to you. I cannot talk to you. I don't want to deal with this. There's nothing to be discussed. We've already decided everything. Oh, really? You have decided everything. You and his army. Prabhupada has already decided everything. Whether your ideas and your conclusions are the conclusions of Srila Prabhupada. That is the question. Because when the challenge comes in and you start asking probing questions, why this, why that, how come this, how come that, then you can see it falls apart very quickly. Their facade falls apart very quickly. That's why we read that purport today in the Chaitanya Charitamrita about people who try to make a monopoly on spiritual advancement. Very dangerous. Prabhupada used to say that his Guru Maharaj fought against the caste Brahmins. He fought against the caste Brahmins of Bengal who were claiming a monopoly on spiritual advancement. In the Nectar of Devotion, Prabhupada explains there was a great struggle for some time, but it's been conclusively established that anyone from any part of the world can become a bona fide Gaudiya Vaishnava from any part of the world. This was Srila Prabhupada's mercy and his Guru Maharaj's mercy. Because we've seen this has always been the problem in Gaudiya Vaishnavism and Vaishnavism with caste Brahmins or people claiming a monopoly on spiritual advancement simply for money making. There's a lot of references to that point in Prabhupada's lectures, in Prabhupada's books, many places. And people should be aware of it and not fall victims to this type of mentality. Very insidious, dangerous mentality. Prabhupada is available right now to any sincere soul. Speaking of which, tomorrow morning at 8:30 a.m., Bhakti Rupesh Prabhu will be initiated, and another lady will also be initiated. We'll have a fire sacrifice in this room here, and we have another devotee that has come to help us doing this program. So we invite all of you. I believe a Zoom link has been sent to all the members of this group and other people. So we invite you to join in and participate in the program. And we hope that everything goes very nicely. Hare Krishna.
It will go nicely, and it's a great victory. And we want to thank our godbrother in Mexico, too, who also initiated 3 people a few weeks ago. So things are going on. Here's a really interesting question from Kantadas, who's hopefully on the call here. If you took initiation over 40 years ago from a GBC fallen guru, do you have to reinitiate again? Very interesting. And there's a quote for 434 from Rangmaghava. I'm going to jump into this and give an explanation based on what we've just read about initiation. Kanta Prabhu, your commitment to Prabhupada is already established. And really, in principle, you're initiated. Yes, because initiation means your personal commitment. So is it necessary? Well, it's not necessary for you to become more than you already are. You're initiated. You're a Prabhupada disciple. Now, the question is, like with, there's a fellow in India that runs a large organization called ISKCON Bangalore. Yeah. Has he taken initiation as a Prabhupada disciple? They're initiating people with the Ritvik system in their organization, but has he personally renounced his initiation with Jaya Pataka? Well, he may not have to. But our point, at least my point, is you don't have to, but it's a good example to set for other people that you're saying, we do not accept this. I am a Prabhupada disciple. I want to go through this formal process to set example for others. That's all. It's not a prerequisite for a person to be considered a Prabhupada disciple just because they sit in front of the sun. It's their internal commitment that is their connection, just like sannyas. Sannyas is not about robes, pink robes. It's about your state of mind, how you've renounced all material attachments and you're focused personally. I don't care who it is. If you are internally focused on this process and are absorbing and practicing the rules and regulations of sannyas, whether you're a man or a woman, it does not mean anything. It is your internal commitment to take this process as seriously as Prabhupada is asking his disciples to, and this is your sannyas. Yashodanandana Prabhu, if you could further.
Yeah, I want to repeat a point that we've discussed before. This program, we're not attacking any group of people, any group of individuals, everything. We make different comments. The idea is to better understand Prabhupada's teachings and its proper application. Because we've seen in the past a certain separatist mentality from a certain class of devotees, thinking that we know better than you because we had more time with Prabhupada than you. Therefore, you should shut up and listen to what we have to say. Well, that kind of mentality has not helped to people very much, has it? At least in North America, it has not. Since 1977, how many millions of books have they distributed? Why are the temples empty? Why a temple that had 45 or 50 devotees are reduced to 3 or 5 or 6 devotees after millions of books? So something is not connecting here. So the point about initiation is to make a commitment. Now, if somebody thinks that somebody who was never authorized as an initiating acharya or Diksha Guru by Srila Prabhupada can go on and give initiation to people, it's a pious belief. But we keep asking the same question. When and where did you get the specific order from Srila Prabhupada to act as an initiating guru? Because the people say, well, why do you keep bringing this point all the time? Because you claimed that you had been appointed. You claimed that Prabhupada appointed you as his successor and as a Diksha Guru. When did you get the order? And I'm referring to 1977. Why? If everything was so clear to you in this group of people, why did you run to other advisors to get clarification for something that you told Prabhupada that it was clear? It was clear on Prabhupada's mind. That's why you said his name was on the list. What list was he referring to? The July 9th, 1977 letter, Prabhupada's final order for his initiation system for his followers and his students in the future. They concocted this whole idea of acharya, of successor acharya and initiating guru on a basis of a fabrication, of falsehood. And when we challenge them on it and say, when did you get the order? They can't answer. They'll have some more interpretation, so many crazy interpretation, but they cannot give the evidence, the actual legal evidence. There is no record of this nonsense appointment. Hare Krishna.
Well, thank you, everyone, for being a part of today's program. Unfortunately, we're coming to the end of today's discussion, but it's an opportunity for us to carry on and continue to study and chant and preach. And if you require any assistance from us, either Yashodananda Prabhu or myself or any of the other good God brothers that are in the group here, you please reach out and we'll try to get the contact information for you to be in touch with them and ask them questions. It's okay. I always answer the phone pretty much all the time. And when anybody calls, I even call people on a regular basis around the world and see how they're doing, and hopefully they're doing all right. I know that Tom gets a hold of me occasionally, and we speak and we chat, and he's taking on some kind of Mayavadi people these days. He goes, well, I don't know if I should do that. I go ahead. See how they make out. Go ahead, try, go in, step into the battlefield. So thank you, everybody, for being a part of that. And if you're interested in our programs and you want to donate money for the Hare Krishna Society future programs, by all means, decide what you want to do. You can be in touch with you. We'll give you a link. We have a PayPal or a GoFundMe program for book publication and other preaching work. And I want to reassure you that none of us are salaried workers. We aren't. We do this because we're happy to do it. Actually, it's a better thing when you can work with this mentality. You feel free from any karmic implication. And this is just like trying to gather disciples. You want disciples also gather their karma and put it in your box and carry it with you in your future lives. This is a very serious issue. And Prabhupada is there to accept all of you as his disciples at different stages. We're all at different stages of commitment. And so just constantly think about what you're doing and how you're going to move forward, and pray to Krishna and Prabhupada and seek advice of other God brothers on what your best course of action will be. This is a journey in eternal time. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and the Sankirtan movement of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And we'll look forward to seeing you on Thursday. Unfortunately, we had to switch from Wednesday to Thursday. It's kind of throwing this whole thing off in a sense for attendance, but we can try to continue to bolster our attendance for Thursdays, Saturdays, and Sundays in our sadhana, weekly sadhana program of hearing and chanting at the Prabhupada Disciples Association Hare Krishna Society events. So thank you again. Let's move forward with the chanting of Hare Krishna, led by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, and then we'll have our final sections of the broadcast.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Let us offer our respectful obeisances to all the assembled Vaishnava devotees of the Lord. Vanchakalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. We invite everybody to join us on tomorrow morning at 8:30 a.m. for the initiation ceremony, and also to come back on Thursday for a reading of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita at 5:00 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, corresponding to 8:00 p.m. Florida time and Hamilton, Ontario time, and Canada time, Montreal, Canada time. Thank you very much for attending the program. Look to see every one of you tomorrow morning. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.